Well, new at 5:30, there is alarming news about drug use in Erie County. Health officials say deadly heroin overdoses are on the rise. News 4's Ed Dranch is looking into this growing problem. Ed?
Jackie, it's a problem that impacts all of Western New York. Many young people especially are using heroin. Some recent batches may be mixed with another ingredient that together could prove deadly. The Erie County Department of Health is warning first responders of increased cases of heroin overdoses countywide. It's part of a confidential memo obtained by News 4, noting some overdoses may be due to a combination of fentanyl and heroin.
1 + 1 can equal 5 in this case.
Dr. Gail Burstein is the County Commissioner of Health. She says this concoction poses a severe risk for a user.
Both heroin and fentanyl can cause the same depressive effects, just depressing your heart rate, your blood pressure, your ability to breathe.
Many of these users, Burstein says, are teenagers. Earlier, I spoke with Erie County Sheriff's Detective Alan Rosansky, who says heroin users are desperate for the next fix and can't always be sure what exactly they're purchasing. He also says heroin use is not just a citywide problem. In fact, Rosansky says it impacts all of Western New York.
There has been overdoses that were heroin, but we definitely have an increase of the overdoses in the rural areas.
Rosansky says some suburban kids are coming to the city to buy drugs. He mentioned Riverside specifically, where nearly 24 suspected users and dealers were recently arrested. Heroin was among the drugs seized.
Obviously, people are not aware of the seriousness of the problem.
A problem Burstein says is here today, something else tomorrow.
There's heroin mixed with fentanyl, there's heroin mixed with a lot of other substances, but they have to be aware that because the heroin mixed with fentanyl is a potential here, that they really need to take action immediately so they can possibly save somebody's life.
So Burstein says anyone with a heroin overdose needs to be on life support immediately and given something called Narcan, which could potentially reverse the potential long-term effects of that overdose.
There's a big problem here. Now, we're talking about overdoses, but there are other problems with using heroin, obviously.
Right, especially sharing needles, and that's one of the biggest risks here, and that increases a child's risk potentially if they're using, teenagers, right,
yeah.
if they're using this of bloodborne illnesses like hepatitis C or potentially HIV. So very important to be careful.
Okay, and this is on the rise now in
Exactly.
our area. All right, thank you, Ed.